devil spawn. There's always another part of it that gets bombarded and attacked for people being themselves. Why can't people understand they're people too? They have lives and friends and loved ones just like everyone else. Why do they have to be classified as different? Isn't everyone a little different in their own way? I mean, who really wants to be normal or average or like everyone else? Isn't being unique what makes everyone so beautiful? I mean, truly, doesn't everyone want to have their voice heard? Not by everyone, just by those few somebodies who mean the most to you. Everyone wants to be heard and understood by those they care most about and who are around them. I was very lucky to grow up in a good home with mostly supportive parents, but most kids my age don't get anything near that. I, to a point, understand how hard it is to worry about your family and friends will react to or you. Because whatever you identify as or who you are attracted to, whether everyone or no one, that is the real you, no matter what other people choose to believe or think about you. I wanted to write about LGBTQ plus community because I understand. I haven't gotten near as much as some people, but I have gotten hate for it and I've lost a lot of friends. Not even all my friends and family know. People that are part of this community are people just like everyone else. They don't want to be in the middle of everyone's gossip and in the news. Coming out isn't about that. It's about just being who you are. Getting to be who you are no matter where you are, being able to be whoever you want and act how you please and dress as you want. It's about being able to show others your true self and wanting to not have to worry about others and being judged for just being who you are. Do you want to be bashed, beaten, and bruised just for being yourself in public? I fully believe that no one should be forced to hide themselves from others or be embarrassed about who they are. That's got like subtitles. Okay, so rights. Everyone has the same human rights, as I hope we can at least agree that we are all human. Human rights are inherent to all human beings, whatever our nationality, place of residence, sex, national or ethnic origin, color, religion, language, or any other status. We are all equally entitled to human rights without discrimination. LGBT rights are human rights. International human rights law lays down obligations of governments to act in certain ways or to refrain from certain acts in order to promote and protect human rights and fundamental freedoms of individuals or groups. Outright 2018. Everyone deserves basic human rights and freedoms that belong to every person in the world for your whole life. Human rights are being able to live your life how you want, say what you want, love who you want, believe what you want, be who you want, identify as you want. Some people don't get those rights though. Some people have those rights taken from them as soon as someone realizes who they really are. What does having rights mean? Or more specifically, what does not being allowed your rights mean? The United States is an amazing place for people's rights. Everyone is promised their basic human rights, no matter their gender, age, or race. Or religion, religious opinions, or religious, what's the word? Religious beliefs, or affiliates, yeah, okay. There are some countries in the world where women still can't own land or vote, but those people not being allowed their human rights is a whole other issue. People in the U.S. are promised basic human rights. How come some people are still being beaten and killed because they're attracted to the same gender? Some people cannot fathom letting people who are different be different. Not everyone's like this, but many people have that little voice in the back of their head that says LGBT people are different and wrong. People can learn and be open-minded and neutral people, but it takes an effort, and a large majority of people either don't care or won't change. That is a real problem. People don't like change. Susan M. Marks writes about LGBT people's rights to have the same human rights as everyone else in her article, Global Recognition of Human Rights for Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender People. She explains that our basic human rights are the rights to equality, freedom from discrimination, life, liberty, and personal security, freedom from torture and degrading treatment, recognition as a person before the law, equality before the law, and the rights to marry and have family. Marks touches on how a few countries actually respect same-sex marriages and how many countries have made homosexual acts illegal and discriminate against LGBT. And lastly, she speaks about two specific cases where LGBT women were brutally murdered. Marx argues, she first starts out by stating how the most basic human rights and how they're promised to everyone. She immediately goes into detail on it and debunks saying that not everyone gets those rights that are promised to them, by showing how some LGBT people are not getting most of those basic human rights they're supposed to be promised by every human being in the world. Even criminals have better rights and are treated more human than LGBT people. That is just another kind of discrimination, like persecuting religious people or those of specific race. But these are people who don't act different, but because they choose to live differently, they're somehow not worthy of basic human rights. It makes no sense. Okay. I agree with everything that she says. She's very much right in saying how many LGBT community members are beaten, bruised, and discriminated against every single day of their lives by others. The media and news nowadays has been seen as helping to share things with everyone all over the world, but sharing everything includes all the negative thoughts and opinions that those people out there put out there in the media, and slowly start to change people's minds about LGBT people. I know that when I was born, same-sex marriage was illegal in the U.S., but that has changed in my short 15 years of life. I hope that within my lifetime, LGBT people will be able to seen as people with the human rights same as everyone else in the rest of the world. It could be argued the LGBT issue is not about human rights at all, but about the rights of being a couple. But that is incorrect. If you like women or are a woman, you still like women even though you're married to a man. You will still like women even though you're married to a man. Okay. Being homosexual is not a choice and certainly does not occur within a couple. The act of being with another person as a couple does not define LGBT person, but who they are inside and what they feel at their core does. She touches on the fact that in just the last couple of decades, human rights organizations have just started to recognize LGBT people as people who need and deserve all the same human rights as everyone else in the earth. Sadly, there are still groups now who aren't on board with this, but most agree that LGBT people are people who deserve the same rights as everyone else. Okay, labels. LGBTQIA+ is the general term that stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, questioning, queer, intersex, asexual, and more, like pansexual, demisexual, and non-binary. There's really a lot of confusing words, but it mostly comes down to being labels. All these words are labeling certain people. For example, heterosexual, which most people are. That means you're attracted to strictly the opposite gender, i.e. male, female, or female, male. But there are so many other labels people use to define themselves or others. These all have just basic meanings of these words. These are not what everyone goes by, and everyone's a little different and has different interpretations of everything. There are a million slightly different versions of every word, as it is the same when it comes to labels. All of this stuff is a lot to process, and being completely brutally honest, you have to learn to deal with it. Our society is changing, people are changing, humans are changing, the whole world is changing. Most people don't take extremely well to change, which is understandable. People like their routines, they make things simpler. But it's part of our basic nature as people to change and adapt, which is why everyone is needing to learn to do so all humans can live together peacefully. Emma Austin wrote a piece about the LGBT community that I think could help bring some light to maybe a few things. Austin wrote, "What does LGBTQI mean?" and more answers your Pride Month questions, which is mostly describing the basic definitions of a lot of labels in the community and what they basically mean. It also touches on Kentucky and Pride, specifically Pride and Louisville. This article definitely can be seen as coming off as labeling when you first read it, but after really reading it, I get where it's coming from. A lot of people that are part of the LGBTQ community are not big fans of labels because they believe that a word like gay should not define who they are and put you in a box. Most people use labels not for themselves, but to put it simply for others so that other people may begin to understand the most basic version of how they feel. This journal talks about the basic labels that some people like to use to either describe themselves or others, which to me is a respectable idea because the majority of people don't really understand what a lot of these truly mean, and it's a good somewhat educational piece for some people. It also focuses a bit on Pride in Louisville, which is the largest city in Kentucky. Pride describes parades or events that are held in support of the LGBT+ community, or any community in general. Austin, 2018. Pride Month in Louisville and everywhere else is full of events to celebrate being you. Pride Month is a marvelous opportunity for everyone to learn about queer history. Austin, 2018, cites Christian Hartman. Okay, and then Pride. So Pride and the fight for LGBTQ+ rights are purely for ourselves, whether we identify similarly or not. It's not just about getting the attention we crave or becoming known in the news. We can all relate to everyone in one way or another. Everyone is felt out of place or unwelcome. It is something we all go through at some point. We can all feel for what other people are going through in one way or another. Having empathy and being able to feel what it is like to be in another person's shoes can show us all how to accept each other as simple human beings and not labels. Pride isn't for the news outlets or for others at all. It's for us, for not feeling alone, for knowing that there are others out there that have been through the things you've been through and who understands it all. Isn't that what everyone really wants? Someone who gets you, who understands, and at least tries is utility there, so you never have to feel alone in this big world again. Stephanie Dugarry wrote, legit can't wait for #Toronto, #WorldPride. Investigating the Twitter public of a large-scale LGBTQ festival, which is a study to see how well a platform, in this case Twitter, can hold up against a big Pride event, Toronto Pride, and help to show the diversity all across the platform. It is good to see some social media platforms really trying to help promote and show the diversity. It seems like a good, legitimate idea for a study and is done very efficiently. It does well to show how diversity is incorporated. The point of a Pride event is to provide a safe place people can safely be themselves. Dugarry, 2015. Everyone has a right to be treated with respect and dignity. Together we must prevent and eliminate discrimination and harassment. #WorldPride. Dugarry cites a chosen 15 Twitter user. Everyone's feeds were full of hopeful and encouraging comments like that were also extremely inspiring. No person should be demanded to hide who they are or who they love from the populace. No person should be forced to not love who they want to love. Would you want to be required to hide the person you love from everyone, not being able to show them off and show how amazing they are? What does it mean to you to be able to show your love for another person? How much does it mean to you? How much do you take being with and showing your love for your loved ones for granted every single day, when there are others out there who have to hide it all? How would you feel if it was your child who was stoned to death at the hands of an angry mob while simply walking down the streets because they were too different for the social norms? Because that is basically what LGBTQ are. People who show who they are and aren't ashamed of what makes them different from the norm. I personally agree with everything that I've talked about and believe that you should too, because it's all true and constant issues that happens every single day. And then my website, which I don't think I need to read.
You should pass it around. Give her a hand.